help here, people.
Warren, I need a kit.
They're spraying down the acid. It's highly flammable, it's highly toxic. Over to this green.
Unsettling scenes. No one wants to deal with a major emergency, but they happen anyway in towns, cities, and offices and factories, even in peaceful rural settings. When they do, it's important to have an effective design for disaster response plan ready. An effective disaster plan helps cut death, reduces severity of injuries, contains environmental damage and property loss, and it takes care of key areas of communication with the public and media, helping to reduce panic and fear and keep communities functioning effectively. This doesn't happen by accident. It only happens with careful, thoughtful, advanced planning and with regular disaster exercises to test the plan's effectiveness. The most important part of an effective disaster plan, careful attention to details, details, details.
And to that end, I say good luck.
This group spent 10 months organizing details of the demonstration exercise. The whole Disaster Forum conference took 18 months to put together, but the demonstration disaster response exercise is the biggest job.
So it's important from two perspectives, I think, that this go well.
So important, the planning group decided that a demonstration not only of disaster services response to a major natural event, but also demonstrations of a working emergency operations center directing that response, a media center with media briefings and interviews, and an emergency public information center dealing with calls from frightened people were the best way to get the message out. This was an opportunity for delegates to see the vital role each group plays in the execution of a disaster plan and just how important that attention to detail is. The demonstration exercise project was named Windstorm after the 1987 Edmonton tornado. Just in case a natural disaster took out the usual essential communications like telephones, computers, and emergency services radio links, organizers recruited outside backup.
But you know that everything works, and if there is a problem, that's when we want to know about it.
And the cooperation of people from many levels of government agencies, the military, emergency services, and private companies was essential. After almost a year of meetings, the planning was nearly finished. Time to roll out the red carpet as organizers readied the conference center to host delegates for the demonstrations. Almost there, volunteers gave a final effort. Nearly ready for the delegates inside, preparation for the centerpiece disaster demonstration shifts outside the conference hall. Private companies and individuals chipped in to help. Safety's the watchword in all phases of the demonstration. Organizers don't want anyone hurt. This tanker is one piece of the disaster demonstration. Volunteers are satisfied. The setup's going well. The second prop arrives, an old city bus. The scenario calls for the bus to collide with the tanker and both to roll over. While workers maneuver the bus, there's other activity. Soldiers put together a tent to shelter the delegates who will watch the demonstration and listen to briefings of what's happening and why it's happening. The cordoned-off area serves another purpose, keeping conference delegates out of harm's way later when emergency vehicles rush to the scene. The props are almost ready. Brightly colored plastic tape is strung to keep onlookers from wandering onto the site and getting hurt. Inside the bus, metal mounts where handrails have been removed are wrapped in duct tape. This will protect the people who play crash victims from accidentally getting real injuries. The injuries look real. Hollywood has nothing on the skills of these expert makeup artists from One Field Ambulance Unit, Canadian Forces Base Edmonton. The injury victims for the bus tanker crash are made up at a city building several blocks from the demonstration site. Realistic injuries are important. They help rescue workers in the mock exercise believe this is the real thing, so rescue techniques get a proper test. Volunteers for the role of victim are fed by a volunteer organization. The Salvation Army has donated its Care and Share bus. It's almost time for action. Rescue workers get a final briefing.
You guys are going to come in 5 or 7 minutes later.
Again, it's the details that make or break a disaster plan. Everyone has to know what to do and when to do it, and no ad-libbing. Across the river from the conference, the emergency response vehicles from the city, private agencies, and the military are standing by. The drivers will respond when called by the Emergency Operations Center. More safety measures at the top of the road above the demonstration site. Police block all vehicles and pedestrians to ensure no one's hit by speeding emergency vehicles.
Number 18 out there?
The mock injured take their places now as the final touches are added to the disaster site. 2.5 days of meetings, forums, and seminars under their belts, the 400 delegates appear pleased. Now they get a final briefing for the demonstration. To set the scene and the mood, they're shown a video of the 1987 tornado that killed 27 people, left large portions of Edmonton a wasteland, and caused $500 million damage. Fortunately, the city had a disaster plan in place.
A stage has been set to show you how the City of Edmonton would respond to a major emergency today. You will be taken on a walking tour of our emergency operation.
Paul Riopel, the coordinator of the Exercise Windstorm planning team, gives a final briefing. There's a lot to managing a disaster response that people don't usually see.
Managers in the EOC can develop strategies for dealing with emergencies in an atmosphere of consensus and cooperation away from the pressures of the incident site.